Welcome to Forever Exile, the Path of Exile podcast. I'm Justin, aka Tags.
Tyler, Wrecker of Days.
Episode 126.
Not bad. Not bad.
Yeah, we keep saying the number.
We didn't make it go.
Do we stop eventually? I don't know. Or do we?
No.
No, we'll just keep saying it. It sounds fun.
Because it'll be awesome when we hit episode 1111. You have to state that. But then how cool would it be to be at 1112? Like, we're not going to come to a cool number until after 1111. The next cool number is at 1234.
You reminded me of on the 22nd of February, people freaking out about like, oh my God, it's 22222 at 22222.
It's a good rep digit day. If you do the shortened date version.
Won't see this again for 200 years. I was like, all right.
Dude, rep digits are exciting. Numbers are fun.
Numbers are fun. Sure.
Anyway.
Big shout out to Sean for joining our Patreon this week. Thank you so much for the support. For everybody else that joins and listens on our Patreon, you guys are super duper. If you're curious what Patreon gets you, it gets you access to After Dark, which is our podcast after the podcast, where we just talk about more stuff. It's usually life, drinking, joking, Path of Exile, and last week was pretty much all Elden Ring.
Yeah, it was 99% Elden Ring. We threw in a little tidbit of PoE at the end.
Yeah, just to make sure it was still a Path of Exile-ish thing, but
it was Elden Ring.
We that one's completely off script. We just go. So not that this is totally scripted.
No,
we tend to go off script here too, but it's just more off script. That's all.
That's all it is.
Is that fair? Yeah.
No script, off script and no script.
Yep. Whatever he just said, that's the one. You sound better.
A little bit every now and
Less
then.
like death.
Well, I intentionally spoke very little to my children this morning, so my voice wouldn't be worn out for the podcast. By the end of the show, which you might even have to end early because of my voice, but by the end of the show, I might sound a little bit like this. This was my voice so yesterday. So today's a lot better. Editor, my apologies, but I have a little thingy thing in my mouth.
Out of your mouth.
Dude, this is your lifesaver unless you actually want me to sound.
And stop flicking it around. That's all.
And I have a coffee to help. My water's turned off right now because, so you know how we're getting our perimeter drain fixed. Like, my yard is loaded with excavators and other cool toys that I used to play with back in the day when I had a job. But so now the whole outside of my house is gutted, and they were waterproofing. They were fixing and sealing my foundation and then waterproofing it. But then they found that the part where the city's water comes into my house, like where the water comes into my house, that's leaking. So they had to, drill through and actually remove the pipe and fix it. So they're actually doing that right now. So hopefully it doesn't mess up our recording too much, but the water's off. So I fortunately everybody else is gone. So I'm the only one dealing with it. But I went to go rinse out my coffee cup before we started, make myself a fresh cup of coffee. I'm like, dang it, no water. So I'm like, try to get all the this morning's coffee out of there, the little grounds out. And then I go to rinse out. We have these it's like a reusable filter that we use for our K-cup machine. And I went to go rinse that out. And I'm like, crap, banged it out the best I could. But I have some of this morning's wet coffee grounds in there with my new guy. Anyway, good times. So I'm fully prepped, I'm fully prepped.
I don't think you've seen, I'm going to just assume you haven't seen the movie Meet the Fockers with Ben Stiller.
I have, long time ago.
So when you went to go to the washroom, I was laughing at you and I said, well, don't worry about flushing it. If it's yellow, let it mellow. If it's brown, flush it down. That's from Meet the Fockers. But you looked at me like it was the first time you'd ever heard it.
No, I just looked at you like it was disgusting. Just flush. But obviously, there's nowhere for it to go right now. But anyway, that's disgusting. Everything's, you might have some loud sounds in the background, but it's awesome to have progress. It won't be awesome when the bill comes, but it'll be awesome. It's awesome to have progress, right? We're moving up now. We're moving up. Soon, we won't be scared of rain. Huh?
Yeah. You mean you guys won't be there?
Well, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
So, but yeah, no, it's cool. It's almost done. It's almost, per se. Once this gets fixed, they just fill it in. It's good.
Sweet.
Oh, man, I can't wait. That'll
be nice. How was your week?
It was good. I mean, a lot of it just revolves around this kind of stuff, right? Like we actually had our dishwasher leak. I think it was last week, but our insurance claim, now we have the downstairs gone, but now the upstairs has to be completely fixed as well. They have to redo all the flooring. So there's a fine balance there. We're using the same company for it, but there's a fine balance between timing because we still have to stay here because the kids are in school. We can't, go to a hotel. We don't have a second car. So, it was a lot of fine balancing, lots of phone calls, but it was good. I got rid of my bus license, Justin. Did you know that I could drive a bus?
Yeah, but a long time ago. Why are you why do you have a bus license still?
I kept it because you never know, never know. It'd be like, hey, we need someone to drive a school bus.
Does anyone drive a bus? Anyone in the room?
I got it. If you don't care about the bushes on the side of the street, I got it. No, when I used to work at a daycare, we used to drive kids to and from, and so to work there, and they would pay for it if they really liked you in the interview. But I had a bus license when I used to work at a daycare a long time ago, and I just kept it because it was super cheap to renew through ICBC to keep that, right? The class 2. Didn't have air brakes, but I finally got rid of it. And so now I'm just a lowly commoner. I just have a motorcycle license and a car license. Did you ever ride with me? Did I ever take you for a nice little cute ride on the motorcycle?
Absolutely not. I rode your motorcycle once, but I would never ride on a motorcycle with someone ever.
But you said you rode with me.
No, I rode it. I rode your motorcycle.
You know how to drive my motorcycle?
No, I figured it out. You showed me.
Oh, I don't remember
where we were. Yeah, we were somewhere.
Oh, right. I remember that.
But no, I would never, ever sit on the back of a motorcycle with someone. The idea of just giving full control and being like, all right, I'm just chilling back here. You take care of it. Nope. That's not for me.
Hey, where are the airbags on this thing?
Yeah.
But no, it was funny because I'm in line, right? And even though you have an appointment at our version of the DMV here, still takes some time. And there were 2 people arguing loud. I think they were both like Christians. I think they both believed in the Bible, but like one was like, they were both like very, very sure on how creation existed. Like whether it was like,
this is happening while you're trying to get your license?
While I'm waiting for my number to get called. There's 2 people in the waiting room, like, and they're going at it.
Do they know each other? What a weird thing.
No, they just met. They like, you can tell from the beginning of the conversation.
How does that come up in conversation?
And they're talking, and like, she is adamant that the world's a few thousand years old, and that the creation thing about days, like it's a literal thing. So it's only a few thousand years old.
Okay.
The other guy's adamant that it's billions of years old, but neither of them were humble in their opinions. Both of them knew with fact that they were right. And so it was hilarious to see 2 people believe the exact same thing in terms of what's important, but fighting to the death about something that is completely irrelevant to their faith. It was hilarious. So anyway, I had a good time. And so obviously me, I was talking with the elderly lady next to me who was just tired of losing her license all the time, and so she was getting her new ID, her new BC ID.
Did they let you wait inside? Because for a while they made people wait outside.
Yeah, the non-appointment line, the drop-in line was all outside. But if you have an appointment and all that, they have space for you. And so you're still within the COVID protocols and spacing. But this lady and I were talking, and we keep looking at, because the other conversation about how the world began was very loud and everybody was hearing it. And the elderly lady and I were having a great time interrupting our own conversation to smile and laugh about it. But it was good. I had a very entertaining week. But unfortunately, I haven't ridden a motorbike in forever now. How about you? Do you have a week?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Good talk.
Yep.
Good talk.
I don't have anything exciting. I worked and I played Elden Ring.
Did you work? Or was it just Elden Ring?
It was a lot of Elden Ring, but I worked. This week was super busy, but it's super busy because I'm taking off tomorrow. I'm going away for a week. We're going away this weekend, then coming back Sunday, and then leaving with the kids on Monday. And our kids don't know.
Oh, okay. Can you explain what's going on?
So this weekend we're going out to River Rock, which is a casino in the Lower Mainland, for a friend of ours' birthday. We're going to stay there overnight, just go hang out at the casino, go hang out, drink and eat, and then we'll come back Sunday. And then on Monday we're taking the kids to Great Wolf Lodge. So we're going to go for a week down to I don't know what that it's Grand Mound, Washington is the area.
It is Washington. Okay, I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
You've been there before.
So it's like south of Seattle. But I don't love it there. It's like a minor. It's just slightly better than Disneyland. It's a place full of kids. It's not.
Did that's you say not better than Disneyland?
Well, because I don't like Disneyland.
Oh, yeah. I understand. Okay, from a negative context, it's better.
Yes, right. That's right. Yeah,
okay.
I like it less more than Disneyland. I don't know.
Hang on. We're really into Path of Exile talk now.
Yeah. So yeah, that's right. Is it increased or more?
Are you talking like you have but is it a reduction to the positive? No, hang on.
And when is it calculated though? At what point? Anyway, so we're taking the kids there for a week, and then just a chance to sort of unwind. It's been crazy. So, and now we're allowed to travel without having to do the PCR test. You can just do the rapid test for coming back.
Oh, okay. Do you have to do that on site?
No, I don't know. It sounds like I honestly have no clue how that works.
I love how you plan. You're just like, screw it. We're
that's
doing
my wife.
it.
She does it. No, she knows. Christina has it all sorted. But to me, I'm like, well, like a negative rapid test. Can't I just bring one from last week? Like, I don't understand. Do I have to take a picture? I'm not sure. I don't know what the rules are. I know that I'm getting back into Canada. That's what I know. I know I'm allowed back into Canada, and then I'll have to sort things out after that. That's about as far as I know.
It would be, I would love to see you doing all this on your own. Like, let's say Christina goes on a trip on her own for, I don't know, she's gone for a few months, and you're like, all right, we're going to Grey Wolf Lodge, kids. Come on. You, me, let's get out of here.
It would be just fine.
I'm sure it would. I'm sure it would be. It would be like Steve Vaughn's character in Strange Wilderness. It's fine. It's fine. As he's pulling his pants back on.
Yeah, they know it'd be fine. And then, so we're not telling them till Sunday. So the kids have no idea that they're actually out of school. We're taking them out of a week and a half or 2 weeks before spring break, because I was not going to go to a place full of kids during spring break. So
makes sense.
We're going a couple weeks early, and should be fun. My goal is to be off my phone the whole time we're there. So,
oh, awesome. Lucky you.
We'll see. Doesn't usually happen, but
your oldest is at an age where I remember being really, just based on timing, irritated with surprise or unknown trips, right? Because, making plans. Is he good with surprise stuff yet? Or are you going to screw over some plans that he had for Wednesday?
So this is actually our first trip he's not coming on. He is actually away this weekend. So he dodged a bullet. Actually, he probably would have liked to come anyway, because he does like that kind of stuff. Like, he likes the family stuff. But he's gone, so he's not. This is the first trip we're doing where he's not coming with us. So he's not going to be playing in the water park at Great Wolf Lodge.
He's not going to be in with his Speedos squirting 6-year-olds with a water gun.
Yep. Well, so anyway, should be fun.
You guys are getting so old.
Yep. Christina was kind of laughing about that. She's like, I have to get used to the fact that we have to, sometimes trips are going to happen without our kids. Yeah. And I was like, hello, that's the goal. Like,
that's right.
We need to get the other 3 move along.
I saw your daughter at school today. We were walking past on the sidewalk, and she's like, hi, Oliver. Hi, Violet. Yelling really loud. When did she get glasses? I don't think I've ever seen her with glasses.
She got glasses. Well, she's had glasses for probably a year, but they were not just if she felt her eyes tired, she didn't need them all the time. So I have really bad eyes.
Yeah.
I have my prescription is -6.5, and Sophia was a -0.25. So very small. But our eye doctor was saying that I was at the same age as she is, so grade 2, when I got my glasses, and she wanted to test her 3 months after our appointment to see if there had been any change, because if her eyes were changing that quickly, there was a good chance she was following in my footsteps with regards to her eyes. And there's this new solution for kids that are like that. So we went back, she got tested, and sure enough, one of her eyes had changed from a 0.25 to a 0.5. So anyway, these glasses, it's some new technology in lenses they've done studies on, and it has a massive effect on how much your eyes will actually change. So for someone just for me as an example, had these glasses been available when I first started with glasses, instead of ending up at like a -6.5, my eyes would have stopped around a -2, which is it's like a 65% decrease in how bad the eyes will get, just the way these new lenses work. And for anyone who has -6.5 or, that high, if I could have been a -2, that would have been infinitely different. Like, it's so much different. So anyway, these are some fancy lens. They were developed in China, and I can't remember what they're called. But she was saying that the studies that they've been doing, what's the word where doctors use it where they like feel morally obligated, or there's some new thing that's come in where they have to tell, or they're really trying to make a focus of telling parents about it, so that if you can make it work and afford them, it does have this huge impact on kids' eyes long term. So we'll see.
Cool.
Anyway, that's why she's wearing them.
I hope it works.
She loves them too.
She was super cute. She's only 1 month older than my boy, and she's missing like half her mouth of teeth. She's so freaking cute, and she has like her 2 big.
She rips them out, man.
Oh wow,
she rips them out. If it comes a little bit loose, I'm like, oh, it's out tonight for sure. It's out
because she's just gonna like do
works
that at
it, and she's like, get me my money.
That's
get
awesome.
me my money.
Hey,
yeah.
Good for her. Good for her. My son hasn't lost a tooth yet. I feel like he's 20 years old, and he's at
he
the
still has
age
all of them. Wow.
Yeah, all of his baby teeth, but. It's funny because he's big enough now. Like now there's just spaces between each tooth because his mouth is ready for them, but they're not happening.
That's awesome.
Anyway, yeah.
He's going to lose like all of his teeth within a week.
At once, yeah. Going to have chicken broth for a few months while they grow back.
Well, hopefully he has no problem pulling them out, because it's funny how different they are. So like Sophia, she will just wrench on it. She doesn't give a crap. It's coming out. It's loose. Ethan would not let us touch them. We had to try pulling them out while he slept. He had one that was actually like an eggshell hanging because the other tooth was out, and he wouldn't take off the tooth. It was ridiculous. He swallowed one. Oh my gosh. The difference between them is, it's just night and day when it comes to that kind of stuff.
That's hilarious.
All right. So let's get into some Path of Exile stuff.
We're only 20 minutes in. You're fine. We're
fine,
right?
Edited down. This is like 15. You're good. You love it. You love it.
You do.
This week in PoE, what do we got? There's some stuff.
Talent competition rewards. I don't know. Like, I'm not talented in anything, and congrats to all the winners, but I love that GGG does this. How many other games are you a fan of that they recognize people that give a crap about the game and do this cool stuff? Because fans are always going to do cool things, whether it's sculptures or knitting something, sewing, cosplay, drawings, pictures, paintings, whatever. But like they do it and it's for fun. But I don't know. I like that GGG recognizes, and on a regular basis, like this is a pretty consistent thing we recognize on occasion here at the podcast. Not like we do anything but saying, oh, okay, cool, neat. But I like that GGG is consistently just interacting and even rewarding their fans just for being fans. So I think it's pretty cool. Even the music stuff's pretty sweet too. I like that little community.
I would hate to be the one that has to pick the winners.
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
That's got to be really tough.
Yeah, if GGG put out one of those, you know how everybody's always crying because they can't move to New Zealand to, take them up on their next newest job posting. If I lived in New Zealand and was specifically asked for, hey, Tyler, we would love you to be the person that picked. Nope. I'm still gonna stay homeless.
You get a car. You get a car. You get a car.
Yeah.
Everyone's a winner here.
That's right. And then the Twitch Rivals is coming out again too. Sucks. There was that kind of like game breaking bug the first go around, so they're giving it a shot again, giving us a date for that.
And also really big props to GGG on the fact that they're doing additional MTX, because they gave when the Twitch Rivals failed the first time a couple weeks ago. They still maintained the drops during that event. And they said, if you watch anybody who's streaming Path of Exile with Twitch drops enabled, we're still going to honor the drops that were supposed to be for the rival event. So you could still get those Twitch drops. I was in my head, I thought, I wonder if they'll just keep the same 2 drops and then just say like, yeah, if you missed it, now you can get them. But they actually have 2 new drops enabled, which I think that's really cool of them.
Very cool. Very generous. I mean, first place gets $4,500 and whatever MTX choice they have too. Like, that's super cool. I'm glad they're still really doing that and kind of holding to their word. Remember at ExileCon, they said they were going to get into more interactive community stuff. Want to get more into racing, but it's nice to see.
What is Twitch Rivals? How does it work? Is it like, it's not best out of one fight, right? Like, I imagine there's some system in place. I don't actually know. I don't know. I know.
I guess you don't have another co-host to ask, right? But
I know I got nobody else. But
yeah.
Anyway,
so Justin, here's how it works. What you do is actually you do rock paper scissors in the background first. No, I have no idea, man.
All right. Well, somehow people will win. Congrats to them.
Did you see the new hideout and map device MTX?
I didn't see the map device one.
It's synthesis.
Oh, okay.
Which
the synthesis
I actually thought was really cool. Like a highly criticized, like Synthesis is one of those old leagues where it's like you loved it or you hated it. There really didn't seem to be a vocal crowd for the middle ground. And, I guess
wish this league was Synthesis.
Do you?
Because then I could love Elden Ring even more. I wouldn't feel so bad playing it because I'd be like, I didn't hated that league anyway. Right now they've got like one of the best leagues they've ever had, and I'm like, but I like that game. I don't know what to do.
Yeah. But no, I like it because Synthesis is one of those. Now I don't know any better, but it seems like one of those mechanics that you could cut from the game to make way for something else, and the game doesn't change much. You know what I mean? Like synthesized items are neat, but I don't see, all I see it as being neat. It's not really great game breaking if it leaves. So I like seeing that, hey, we still like synthesis. GGG, here's a synthesis item, here's a synthesis map device. And I like the map device.
It's kind of big this league too, because you can focus on it, which you've probably seen more synthesis this league than you have ever since synthesis. So kind of cool.
Did you check out the synthesis clusters that are on the tree? I didn't.
I have it.
Oh, do you? Do you like it?
I've been playing with them. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Look at you, all awesome and stuff.
Concept
art. Oh man, Justin, just FYI,
the Ravager one. Mm-hmm.
If you ever play Spark, you're playing solo or playing with Josh. I'm not playing with you. That is like a guaranteed. I got no more than 20 minutes on me, and then I gotta like turn all my screens off. I don't think it would
bug you that much.
Are you kidding me? You add Celestial, which I think actually completely suits Spark. You add the new Celestial MTX they just came out with to Spark.
Well, you were fine with the old Spark?
No, but now it's even worse. Like,
thankfully, it's not a
like
skill
it's a good
MTX,
play. But oh man,
it's not a skill I play. But I saw Celestial though. I told you before we got started that my head is so into Elden Ring, and I was going to message you yesterday. We have a WhatsApp chat now for Elden Ring, but I was going to say that there is a celestial boss.
In
and
Elden
I was
Ring?
laughing when I fought it, and I was like, I can't wait for Tyler to fight this
Starry
boss.
and stuff.
I'm not going to say much else. I'm just going to say it was a celestial boss, and I was laughing because it literally was like fighting an MTX celestial boss. I won't say anything else, but it was wickedly hard, but crazy looking.
Story or dungeon side quest?
Well, I don't know. It wasn't dungeon side quest. Like one of the things that's so good about Elden Ring is sometimes I'm not sure if I'm progressing the story or if I'm just like, I am the worst rabbit hole person ever with Elden Ring. I put a marker on my map and I'm like, I want to go there and check that out. It takes me an hour because I'm like, oh, look, oh, a door. Oh, look at that guy. I feel like this had to have been something related to story because I got a boss, like the boss soul, which I haven't gotten that from any of the side dungeon stuff, like that I could turn into the fingers for an item. So it had to be story related. I just don't know.
Okay.
But it was really funny because I was like, oh my God, it's a celestial boss.
I don't hate Celestial anymore. It's not the only MTX that's coming out. That was like 3 years ago.
You just hated it because it was everything.
Yeah, like 3 years ago, I think it was GGG, and no criticism to how MTX make their money, but it was like the only MTX style that came out for that entire year. But it's not like that anymore. So bitterness is gone, and I'm excited to crush that boss first time. Unlike you, did you kill it first time? Of course you did.
I did, yeah.
Of course
let me tell you also, just on a side note, if you are playing Elden Ring, there is the ashes that you can summon. I found one called Great Shield. I don't know if it was Great Shield Skeletons or something. I actually leveled it to +10. It is amazing. It basically summons these 3 skeletons with massive shields as big as them. And it works because I'm playing caster, I cast them, let them run towards the boss, and then I actually get to chill back and be a mage and like fire magic.
Are they tanky? Like they block?
Oh, well, they're upgraded, so they live through an entire boss fight. They'll actually attack and do quite a bit of damage, but when they're being attacked, they take their massive shield and like slam it down and take almost no damage from the hits.
Interesting.
Anyway, it's my new favorite summon.
My new favorite. And then the Atlantis mystery box is now normal purchase. Normal purchase. Cool. Awesome.
PlayStation, what is that?
Patches. So consoles up to date. Consoles up to date to patch 17.1b. PC got updated to 0.2, and 0.2, Justin, was amazing. I can't wait for that on console. That's insane. Like, it was like, sure, there's fixes, but that was like a massive QOL patch. Did you go through it and see it?
Yeah, I did, and I actually really like it. I saw they did a preview to this one, right? I think this came out as a preview a little bit before the patch came out.
And
right, so there were a couple things that stood out to me. One, we talked about the corrosive. Well, I didn't know it was called corrosive hunger, but we talked about the debuff that happened when you're fighting. Which boss is that? Infinite Hunger. So when you go into the little like room where it's just sludge and you got to find your way out, you get this debuff on you. I just knew the debuff sucked. It made me take more damage, but I didn't actually ever mouse over it to figure out what it was. I had no idea it was just flat armor and evasion rating per stack minus. It's no wonder it was so rough. So I think that's a really good change to change it now. It's a minus 1% physical damage reduction and minus 1% chance to evade per stack, which that's at least fair when I feel like when you move it to percentage versus flat, it works out better for most people. But even better than all that is the fact that once you drown, I guess you're drowning and teleport. I don't know which order that is. Does that mean like when I come out of the sludge or when I'm teleported into the sludge? I've never had it happen more than once, but I think you can continuously go through that cycle depending on how long the fight takes. Regardless, the fact that you'll actually lose those stacks when he drowns you now.
Start every time.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
And then, and the only other thing that really stood out, well, there's a couple, but one that made me laugh was that the oil being set alight now is considered burning ground. We joked about this in one of our past episodes that it didn't make sense and that it's fun to be creative from GG's side, but you're not Divinity. So just if it's on fire, that's burning ground. Please don't make some weird thing like, well, actually there's oil underneath and that little. So now they're making it so it counts as burning oil, which Mark did say they were going to talk about doing. And I'm glad that they did do that.
Oil that has been set alight is now treated as burning ground and applies a burning ground debuff rather than burning oil. To me, that just made me mad. That's something that it needs to be done before it comes out. Like that's something that in a game like this that already it's hard to see visually. Like that's the kind of stuff it's just the forethought in that it needs to be done before it's released. Like there's no way that should exist. Even like I don't know the process of how it happens.
Maybe it's just an accident though. It's possible that it just slides through, right?
Sure. And I'm sure that's what it was because they acknowledged it right away and then fixed it relatively quickly. But that's the kind of stuff though that's just infuriating as a player because you're doing what you can to mitigate that specific type of damage and it's not working. And the game already doesn't tell you so much information. So for that to happen and for you to even know it's a bug or actually a different mechanic, how is a player ever going to know? So I'm glad
that's
it's
what
finally
made it really
fixed,
funny
at the end of
when
the day.
It came up was people talking about it and then Mark just being like, well, we talked to them and actually it's like, no, that doesn't work. You can't do that in this game. If it's on fire, burning ground. Just keep it simple.
Yeah. There's other ways to make the game hard. But like for me, I actually quite like the changes, like you said, to the infinite hunger fight because I like the character of the boss, but I don't like the boss fight. It has way too many invulnerability phases. Like when it's that sludgy tentacle thing and it's moving around, it can't take damage. And there's obviously the phase where the boss isn't even around. So, but the fight itself has awesome tells. You know what I mean? Like, what kind of attack is coming. And I love that. I absolutely love that. I don't like the invulnerability phases, but I found that it was relatively easy to know what was coming based on other stuff. It wasn't always easy to avoid, but there's parts of the fight that I really do like and other parts that I don't. After I beat the Infinite Hunger this week, I was checking some stuff out that dropped. Actually, the drops aren't very good, but I was looking at something within my character and I was almost dying. I had to quickly exit out of the screen and then jump away. There was some sort of dot on the ground that lasted forever after the death.
Oh, after it was dead?
Oh, I hate that stuff, man.
I thought that was done.
I hate after.
I thought that was gone.
I didn't know it was a thing. Well, I mean, I know it's a thing in the game, but I didn't know this boss did it. But yeah, there was a couple other things. Actually, I hate to regurgitate a lot of the patch notes, but there were so many QOL things that I absolutely loved. The number of prefix and suffix modifiers on an item isn't saved, when re-rolling modifiers with an Eldritch Chaos Orb. That's an interesting thing to discover, hey, that if you had like 2 prefixes and 2 suffixes, it would just keep that as you kept re-rolling. Interesting. So, I mean, that's not a thing anymore, but that was an interesting find. Love this edition. /Atlas passives in your chat command tells you all the Atlas passive points you've earned and are missing, which I think is so
I had wondered
cool.
about that in the beginning of the league. Like, I wonder how you would know if you missed any. And I assumed there was a command. I just didn't know what it was, so I just ignored it. But I love that they've added that. Can you do that stuff on console?
Yeah, they have the chat. The unfortunate part about console is you're using that keyboard, so you're using an analog
you got to
stick,
type
click,
or whatever.
Click, click. So GGG, side note here, but a suggestion is have some quick command listed so that users can just go, like quick, /deaths or /Atlas passive /passive. Just have that there as a quick addition so people can just quickly scroll up instead of needing to use the insane keyboard that's on both consoles.
Cool change though. I like that.
Yes, very. I absolutely love it. And they added a notification for when you get a map crafting option, which is neat. When
I first read that, I read it incorrect in the sense of like, oh my God, are they actually going to tell me now if I'm in a map that has a map? I didn't think of it as a map craft that you get from, when you actually run your map. But I was like, when I'm in a map that has a craft that I need to click on, we've talked about this, right? You go into a map, that's where you have to find the crafting recipe. That's how I read it at first. I was like, oh my God, they added that. And then I reread it. I was like, no, they didn't.
Oh, but it's still awesome, right? Because you have that thing. You never know when you get it. And all of a sudden you go into your map device and you're like, oh, look at this. It might change your plan. So I like being told things as it happens. I love this edition. The Frag Stash tab now holds the Eldritch and Maven invitations. I think that's cool.
Yep.
Why do you think it's in the Frag tab instead of the map tab? Because that would technically be a map.
They're not really a map.
Well, it's a boss. Just like, it would be like your Atlas influence. Like, they have the influence section in the map tab now, right? To me, that's the same thing.
Simulacrum is the same, and it's not in the map tab.
No, I guess.
Same with the Legion stuff.
But those are like side quests. Maven and Eldritch are core. They're like, that's your quest.
Core, but it's like, it's not mapping. It's not the same as doing a map and then it's an event. It's
that's true. That's a good point. Wait, the Eldritch invitations, does it just load? It just loads the boss. You're right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. This finally happened. They mentioned a while ago. Showing advanced mod descriptions is just on. It's not an option.
Right. That's good.
Yep. Super duper. I love this as a minion player. The Val Omnitech and Adziri are now untargetable when they're invulnerable, preventing minions from prioritizing them over other monsters.
Oh, so like when the monsters are coming in on the side, they're sitting there hitting her while she's got a shield on.
But that's actually in a lot of fights. It's a lot. Like, for example, with Einhard, when that beast is captured and in the process, it's like a 5-second thing while he's doing his speech and the thing's getting zilched in the trap, but the minions still attack it. When you're doing something like in the story mode, Malachi and what's her name with the crazy hat, Piety, right? You know how like who's targetable is different. It's not perfect yet. Like, the minions are still
hat. I don't think I've ever looked.
She has like this weird tall thing.
Okay,
I don't know. Yeah, do a scroll in on her next time you see her.
I don't usually scroll in. Yeah, I'll have to do that.
So anyway, but like that fight, for example, would be a good early example of minions getting confused as to who's targetable or not. So anyway, point being, I like this because it's a step in the right direction for all these bosses to get touched on, or all those invulnerability phases. It's really nice. Now, this won't matter to me, but I thought this was really cool too. Trial of Ascendancy portals now tell you what kind of offering they contain when you encounter them in maps.
What kind of offering? They can offer a different offering than just the basic offering of the goddess?
There's like 4 offerings now.
There are, but I thought you had to... I didn't know those were just random drops at the end. Huh, interesting.
Yeah. So that's that. Busy week. Awesome. Amazing patch. Like, that's QOL. And I didn't mean to regurgitate it, but
tons and tons of fixes.
Definitely. So that was a huge... I can see why that's a 0.2. Not a point C, but a 0.2. So, it's true. Justin, I have a question for you. I've been anxious to ask you this all week. How was your PoE week?
Well, it started right about 37 minutes ago when we started recording. No, I've been paying attention and then on Discord, but I have been on the time that I've been playing something, it's been Elden Ring.
How have you been liking it? A little.
I
give us
think
a little
it
bit.
might be my favorite game of all time.
Whoa.
I have yet to find a game that is. I can't put it into words. I shouldn't. It's weird to be this far into a game, this many hours into a game, and still going like, oh my God, that's amazing. Wow, look at that. I'm this far in and I still pick up items where it's like new item for crafting. And I'm like, how? Like that's insane to me.
How many hours do you think you're in?
Well, on the character thing, I think it says 60, but I also spend a lot of time where my game was left running because I have to work. So I can't always I don't always close it because I'm like, well, I don't want to wait 15 seconds for it to open back up. Maybe I want to go run and do something. So I don't know exactly how much time. I'm level 104, I think, but it's just it's hard to find a game. The thing is, Path of Exile is always going to be a good game. It's always going to be my top game because I can always come back to it. There's always something for me to do. I don't think Elden Ring's that. I think Elden Ring for me is even less of that than a Dark Souls game. A Dark Souls game, I would have picked it up and you and I would have done a new playthrough. We've done that before. Let's start from the beginning. I'm not sure Elden Ring's that for me. I don't know that I would play it again just because of its sheer size.
That size definitely has an
incredibly
impact
big.
value.
Yeah, and maybe you eventually figure out. See, the thing is, I haven't followed anything. I don't like you sent that interactive map, which is really cool, but where I'm at, it doesn't. There's not much that matches up. It's really hard to find.
Yeah, it's from the testing beta side,
right? Which is I'm fine with that. But but it's so big. Like it just I can't think of a game where it's so big. It's so not linear that sometimes I'm like, where am I supposed to go right now? Like what? I don't even know what progresses the main mission right now. I have no clue. And you're doing stuff, talking to people. They say, oh, go do this. And I love that about these games. They're not like, hey, go right here. There's very few things in Elden Ring where it actually puts a marker on your map and says, this is where you need to go. And that's a ton of fun. And then I'm doing things and randomly stories change and people are dying. And I was laughing that you can tell George R.R. Martin was a big part of writing this because people just die. And I'm like, well, what the? Like, so I don't know. It is one of my favorite games. I think it is my favorite game ever just because of its massive, massive size. And it's shocking to me to be this far into it. And I feel like I'm maybe 60%, 50 or 60%.
That's cool.
Completed. Like going through this going through the story. So it's just crazy. It's just insane to have a game that's that big, be completely open world. And I am completely enthralled in that world right now. Like it's so much fun.
That's
and
really
it
cool.
really, really sucks because I wish this was a synthesis league. I wish this was a league where I was like, I'm fine missing.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's a league I really, really like. So right now I just haven't. I know I'm leaving for a week. So I was like, I'm going to hit Elden Ring super hard because when I take a week off, who knows if I'm going to come back to playing it. But yeah, so my PoE week play-wise was very, very limited. What about yours?
I definitely played some Elden Ring. But I also played some Path of Exile, and I'm very surprised at myself. But actually, on a side note, Justin, just with your Elden Ring bit, did you know there's New Game Plus?
You confirmed that?
Yeah.
Really?
Isn't that crazy?
I'm really bummed that you guys aren't playing on PC because there are times where I'm like, man, this game would be so fun with another person, and some of these fights are just there's a lot that I've come across where I'm like, I can't wait to hear from Tyler and Ian when they get to this part or when when they experience this part. I can't imagine having to start over though. I really don't. It's so big.
Yeah.
Like I told you, I literally put a marker not far away from me and I am the biggest idiot in the world because I'm like, nope, go down there. I'm going to go over there. Like I literally cannot go just straight to that spot because you can't go without passing something or wanting to find something. And I don't know where everything drops. I have no idea what's in these dungeons. So I'm going to go explore them. I want to find out what's at the end. I want to actually see the bosses and see the fights and stuff. And it's crazy too, this far in to rarely see duplicates of bosses. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's kind of
it's astonishing.
It's pretty crazy. So Yeah, I don't know. That's crazy that there's a New Game Plus. Is it like a plus, like you just keep going, or really?
Yes.
God,
you gotta
damn,
love your
how?
character. But you did say there's respecs.
Well,
now,
you can respec.
Here's the second thing. Look at the size of this game, the amount of different bosses, the amount of different builds, the amount of different weapons, all the interactable terrain. Now, this is a console first company, right? PC is secondary to them. Obviously, they make it, but from a console standpoint, the quality of this release is unbelievable. In general, let alone the size and scope of the game, the quality is, oh my goodness, it is. It's just like there's no bugs that you're tolerating. There's no bugs that you can see. It's just working well. It's like they delayed it that extra month to get rid of every bug they could see. That's what it feels like. It's insane to me. It's absolutely
especially for the size of the world like that. Games like that always, even if you look at Dark Souls, past Dark Souls games, massive, unbelievably big games, but they're not free to roam. They're not completely open world. And then add on top of that, giving me a horse that can double jump, which just opens up the door for how do we make sure someone can abuse it? And it's crazy to me to find a nook in a mountain and be like, wow, they actually made it so I can't.
Yeah.
I think I should be able to, can I just reach that? And nope, you can't. It's just outside of your range.
Whatever they did.
I just find stuff like that crazy.
They blew my mind. So
Path of Exile, what'd you do?
So I played both of my guides. I did my Righteous Fire Chieftain that uses Incinerate as its 6th link, right, for the boss or rare help. And then I also played my Bone Zombies. That's a Necromancer, pure physical that deals with, has a lot of block as well. And Justin, I never thought that I would do this. I thought that I would be playing with my Atlas passive tree 1,000 times over. And there's definitely stuff that I like. This is one thing I love about Path of Exile. There's so many different mechanics I want to interact with, but I have to make the hard choice of choosing between my different passions within the game. Mm-hmm. And so there's definitely certain things that I wish, like I've excluded Arbinger and I've excluded Delirium, which are 2 that I really would love to have. But I love
it for what? What did you take instead? Are you still Torment and Rogues?
I'm Rogues, Torment, Abyss, Strong Boxes, and then a couple of the map specific ones that don't deal with uniques.
Sure. Yep.
And I'm just in love with it. It is terrifying. It is just so scary to have a boss surrounded by torments, but a boss that's surrounded by torments that has 2 rogue exile bodyguards that are completely beefed up with all the other rogue exile clusters on the Atlas passive tree. And so all of a sudden you have a boss that's duplicated with 2 fully buffed rogue exiles with 5 torments waiting in the boss arena. And you walk in and all of a sudden you see a whole bunch of green spinning orbs around all these people. And you're like, oh man. And it's
have you run into spots where you can't do it?
Oh,
where you've just let
me put it this way. I was going to brag that this is the first session I've actually beaten the map boss that was surrounded by torments. So to answer your question, yes, I've come across it quite a lot. Often. Yes, I've come across quite a few that I could not do, but I like that. To me, that's kind of one thing that I love about the whole Dark Souls thing is I finally beat Margit, but it took me 30 attempts.
Crazy.
Right? But it's not because the boss is overtuned or I was making stupid mistakes. I would be doing really well, but then I would make one mistake. Now, Path of Exile is not that, but I like that mentality. I like running maps that I'm probably really stupid to run. A lot of people play this game for the sake of completion, for the sake of, I have to beat this to get the... Now, I guess let me backtrack. I want the map completion first. Once I have that map completed, then I'm like, okay, let's corrupt this. Let's see. Oh, wow. There's all 3 extra physical damages converted to, 1,000,000,000% fire and cold and lightning. I'm like, wow, I really shouldn't do that. Okay, let's put that in. Let's put a scarab in. Let's put a fragment in. All right, let's get this going. Mm-hmm. And then I forget that my Atlas passive tree exists because I'm used to the multiple years without the massive passive tree. And I come in and I'm like, oh, wow, there's an Abyss and a Delirium right off the bat. Okay, let's hit them both, and it's
so fun.
But yeah, I like that. And if I use up all 6 portals, sure, I get discouraged or disappointed, but I have fun at the same time. And so it's not, to me, it's the reward isn't in the drops though. I mean, I know that sounds contradicting. That's why you play the game, but oh my goodness, Like I was really tempted to get rid of the 2 torment clusters to try and put a tiny bit into delirium so that the cloud would move slower and I'd get more abyss jewel or more delirium. What is it called? Cluster jewels. But I just can't. I love the prospect of being terrified of that boss and being like, nope, I'm out. I can't do it. And so it's fun. But man, I don't think I can get rid of rogues. I can't.
No, you really like it, eh?
I really, really do. And man, when you roll 20 of them and the chance that they're duplicated, and now I finally have the notable in the Atlas passive tree that guarantees me at least 5 additional torments in a map. Like, it's awesome. And with Abyss, it's just hard because it's one of the only things in the Atlas passive tree that guarantees an increased monster level.
Right.
And so I'm getting tons of 87, 88, 89 items. How fun is it to have a level 89 Stygian Vice that you can just craft and have fun with? Like
they're fun, but it's like what 86 is kind of, once you're at 86, you're kind of
86 is it.
Yeah.
But it's common. Like a normal drop
totally.
that would, so when you're doing an item level 83 map, that's a T16. When you're doing that, maybe you'll get an I-86 item, right? Normally you have to do the bosses for those drops to happen. So sure, when you're blitzing through maps, that might be common, but it's not for somebody who at a normal pace with a normal few minute boss fight. So for me though, every one I'm clearing, almost every rare that drops is I-86 plus. So it's great because now I'm getting, oh wow, well there's an I-86 amethyst ring with a nice implicit low. Sweet, okay. I'm gonna stash that aside. But then all of a sudden I'm getting so many of them, I-86 plus items of the base types I want. Because remember, you're not always getting the base type you want, let alone the mods you want. They're common. And I love that now because now my theory crafting brain's exploding. Like, okay, now I have all these base types of I-86 plus items. And I'm like, okay, well now I actually have the base types to go forward and craft mediocre gear to see if this build would actually work. You know what I mean? Because I can get that chest piece with a tier 1 roll finally. So yeah, I don't think I'll change it. I really want to because I want to experience all this other stuff. So hopefully GGG adds Atlas passive respecs every league like they do for characters in standard for the character passive skill tree because I'm having so much fun with it.
That's sweet.
But yeah, it was so one thing now because I don't have my void stones. I have 4 T16s kicking around, right? So I have like 60 of the one that has that. What's his name? Jeffrey. He's in.
Yeah, the big guy.
Yeah, he has a big slam. He has a whole bunch of uniques that almost make. It's like the only thing in the game that's close to like a unique set.
Yeah.
I hope GGG never goes. I know they've said they're never going to item set land, and I hope they stick with that. But yeah, Jeffrey's like that one who has like so many uniques named after him. You could probably do a Joffrey set build. I don't know how they mix or match or anything. He's got the helmet. Is it the helmet that has? It's about the holy relics. Is it that one? Is that Mr. Jeff?
Oh, I can't remember if his is the one that just is plus to skill gems. I can't remember.
Yeah, I forget. It could have changed on the times anyway. But anyway, it was him that was surrounded by rogues and had tons of stuff in there. And it was him, like his smash. I died 3 times. I couldn't even see the boss. I don't know what hit me. I don't know if it was a rogue arrow. I don't know if it was a smash, but the AoE was so big. And the one thing that I don't like about PoE is, of course, having no idea what the icons or the mods mean. You know what I mean? So like I see that there's like 5 mods on the screen, right? Now PoE 2 is fixing this. We saw the permanent boss bar, right? At the top with the permanent mods listed. So that stuff's really awesome. And I'm obviously looking forward to that. But when I see that there's 5 tormented spirits possessing this boss, I don't know what it does. So I'm kind of running around like a chicken with my head cut off for a little bit while I figure out how fast the boss is, how big the AoE is, how fast the attack speed is. So, but it's a lot of fun. I enjoy that aspect of boss fighting, figuring it out. And when I add torment to a boss fight, it's kind of like relearning the boss every time. So it's a lot of fun. I had a great week, to answer your question.
Did you play much Elden Ring?
I did. I got about 2 sessions in of Elden Ring, maybe 7 hours, and I probably did the same for PoE, about 7 hours in total.
Nice.
So a lot of construction happening in the background, so we're going to have to finish up quick. But there was one thing I wanted to mention before we sign off, but then I remembered one more thing. So the Atlas tree, one thing I want to give GGG big props for is there's a lot of hover there's a lot of hover information available. Like if you hover over something, you'll see like there's a description of what this mechanic, or like what a wild rogue is compared to a rogue exiled, compared to a bodyguard. Like those are references to some of the questions I might have had going through the rogue clusters on the Atlas passive tree. But all the new content they're coming out with, and they're doing this with a lot of new gems as well as they come out. Like Cruelty, for example, when Cruelty came out, right away they came out with bracketed info, and I absolutely love that. And the Atlas passive tree is loaded with it. So I'm excited for, as that continues and as they touch up other items in the game, for the game to just be loaded with in-game information, that like the basics of what is this. I don't mind looking up like the nitpicky stuff, but the core basics, like what does this very basic aspect mean? That I really like, and they're doing a very good job with that with their new stuff. So I want to give them a quick shout out there. But I do have bad news for GGG. This league is giving me, well, everyone, I would assume, a lot of ID'd drops. Like just with the league mechanic when you're interacting with the Archnemesis system. And now that's awesome. And so this isn't a criticism to GGG, but this is bad news because I love it. I love how much faster and efficient my gameplay is because of these ID'd mods dropping. Like my filter, I have for every single class and subclass, I have what mods I want to show at what tier. So only show ID'd stuff if it has a tier 1 role of this, or depending on the mod, maybe a tier 2 or tier 1 mod of this. And so it's already very strict. Now there are some generic stuff, like if it's, for example, it's going to show every drop that has, I don't know, an enchantment on it or something like that, right? So it's all going to show that no matter what the mods are. But I love that, and it makes it so easy to, oh shoot, okay, this is actually something worth looking at, and it doesn't require effort. I don't have to play the puzzle game with my character's inventory as I go through stuff. You know what I mean? I can just hover it, great. Oh wow, no, I don't like it. Moving on. And I am in love with it. My gameplay has been so much more efficient and faster. I don't play for fast, but I feel like I'm moving along more. I'm doing less micromanagement with ID drops, and oh man, it's so good. So good.
You'd like to see more?
I think I'm starting to fall into the line of no scrolls of wisdom at all. No,
just
IDing
everything's
stuff.
ID'd.
Yeah. Especially if PoE 2 and as GGG goes along, if they're going to continue with this onslaught of an insane amount of thousands of different base types, I think if you're looking for fluid gameplay, I think ID drops are the way to go.
Yeah, especially if you can eventually get it to where you're, because to be able, we talked about this when we've talked about it compared to, I can't remember the other game with their filter, but the ability to filter based on the mods then also makes it, if you're not going to clean up your drops, then give us the power to do it for you, and don't have them being unidentified, but let me filter out or filter for the stuff I actually want to see.
Yeah. And I don't find it's getting rid of my joy of items. I just find that it's getting rid of the tediousness of items. Like I actually am just really enjoying when something drops ID'd. I'm like, it's a quick look and off I go. And I pick up what I'm excited for, and I'm not interacting with junk, which is to me a positive aspect of item weight. The more junk I interact with, like I don't have to interact with junk to appreciate a good item, which I know is a big part of how they have their scrolls of wisdom and interacting with items. But for me, just because I don't have to interact with junk to appreciate an amazing drop later on. I have to see junk, I have to see stuff, or it just needs to be a good amount of time in between. But the junk doesn't add value. It's more the frequency of a good drop that adds value to the good drop. So that's a small thing. That's a small thing that I've learned here just with Archnemesis, with the amount of ID'd stuff that's happening. Personal preference, of course, but I quite like it a lot. But there's lots of drilling and door slamming going on, so my apologies.
Let's
people.
wrap up episode 126, Forever Exiled. Thank you so much for joining us. I am Justin, aka Tags.
Tyler, Wrecker of Days.
Patrons will catch you in After Dark. Everybody else, we'll see you next week in episode 127. If you're looking for more information, you can find it down below. We got a website, foreverexiled.com. We're on Twitter, foreverexiled82. We have Discord, which you should be in if you are not. and Patreon and other ways to support the podcast, all down below. Love ya.
Word.